Good morning, everyone. This is Biz Chicks TV. This is a place where you can find tips and tools to help you do business better. We're here to help you run a profitable business that's fun to run. And we're here to help you take the hassle out of the hustle. This morning, I want to welcome my co-host, Ms. Francine Gregory, real estate entrepreneur extraordinaire. We can say that after yesterday, and Tech Diva. And we are welcoming this morning Coach Mary, all the way from the Silver Springs area. And she will be talking to us today about getting beyond the quote. Getting to it, people. Can we get to it? Figure out, excuse me, how to live this life, not just talk about it. So I'm Terralina from CaliforniaCoverUps.com, and we want to welcome you to the show. Sit back, relax, and get your mind adjusted. You know how you get your back adjusted by the chiropractor? We're about to have our inner game hooked up by the coach, okay, and get our mindset straight. So with that, Mary, it's all yours. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate you both for having this space and this time for us to come together. I so look forward to being with you all every week. I do my best to, chime in and participate on other days as well, because I think that's important too. And today, I just want to give a little snippet about what today's topic is and why I chose it. Today's quote is, stop competing with others and start competing with yourself. And we hear it all the time. I mean, a lot of these things that I bring to you are not new, right? As they say, there's nothing new under the sun. Yet they are reminders, right? Because we always, not always, but we sometimes find ourselves needing these reminders to bring us back to ourselves, to help us to remember why we started something, why we stopped something, why we aren't where we want to be, why we are where we want to be, things like that. And I'm a question person. Like if I see something, I'm always thinking, how'd they get there? Why'd that happen? And a lot of times it's not about us, it's the condition, it's the circumstances, it's our upbringing. There's so many things that affect us. So when we're competing with others, guess what? We're taking the focus off for ourselves. It's just a distraction. And it's a distraction that if you really think about it, it doesn't lead you to anything that's worthwhile. It doesn't lead you to anything that's going to be valuable to yourself. If anyone has any comments that are different than mine, I am not one to say you're wrong and I'm right. No, these are just thoughts that I'm sharing with you. These are ideas that for me ring true. It's not to say that they must ring true for you. Some people say, oh my gosh, but competition is great. But competition in what areas are great? Competitions for what? Do you know their life story? Do you know why they were able to accomplish what they accomplished? Are they happy?
Now, see, that's the thing. That's the thing. I keep telling people, you need to find out, these people happy, people.
Do they have joy, peace? There's nothing that can beat those things, right?
So if you stop competing with others, then you'll find your original you and why you're supposed to be here. Because why are you competing with them when you're an original?
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard to do that. I'm like, okay, I got to be like this person. Now I got to try and put their shoes on, try and put their uniform on, what happened with David when he did that? He's like, I can't go nowhere with this.
Okay.
He's like, give me my slingshot, my pebble. This is what I know, right? It's beautiful. Beautiful example. Yeah.
Bloom where you're planted, people.
And especially now with social media, if you're really into that, it's really easy to get caught up, right? And if you're someone that's in business, it's really easy to get caught up. If you see someone else's cover up, you're like, dang, why did I think of that first? Instead of thinking, well, dang, look at that thing that I did over there. And oh my gosh, how can I do that better? or what materials are similar to what that, person did. If that person sold that house, that was on my list. Okay, next. I mean, it's easier said than done, for a speaker. I want to say that I want to be the next, I don't know who a good speaker is at this point. But nonetheless, I want to compare myself to them, not in terms of how they do, why they do, but are they happy? When they hit the stage, are they having a presence that resonates with people? Why are they resonating with people? Like, I like to get into the meat of it, right? Is it their background? Is it who they knew? Is it someone that told them, hey, be 1 in a million, be yourself? We often say that. Yeah, that's funny, Gail. Right. We often say that, yet do we truly want to be 1 in a million? You know what? When the person sticks out like a sore thumb, do we think good thoughts about them? Do we think that they're eccentric? Like, what words do we use to describe someone that stands out, that is unlike anyone else within that crowd, right?
Okay, so we get words like unique,
eccentric. What's another one? I know I'm going to say what's original. Right, correct.
Said he almost quit on speaking.
Because he kept comparing his lack of education and resources
instead of using that as an advantage.
See, we talked about this before. Everybody who's here is going to resonate with somebody and change the trajectory of their lives. They're going to say something. Mary is going to say something. Terry, TJ, Gail, Donna, everybody is going to say something to that one person that's going to help them change a situation. But if they're not the original you, then, or they're not their authentic self, or they're not who they are supposed to be, it's not going to work.
Right.
Because the person that you need to relate, that needs to relate to you, needs to relate to you.
Yes.
Not the package.
I love it, Gail. How do you sound?
Right.
Gail, we must be
out.
sisters.
Gail,
but it's true. You often don't find out who you truly are until someone pushes you past your comfort zone. So we do need those quote unquote team players, those people that really care about us and say, look,
listen,
get out there.
And then when you do that, Gail, everybody's mad at you. How could you do that? Why didn't you give them more time?
You are living up in here.
Okay.
And instead of thinking about, once again, when you do things that are not considered kosher or appropriate, people always want to talk about the negative instead of saying, you know what has happened since your child has moved out? Why did you want to push him past his comfort zone?
Because he may need to learn a couple of things that he can't learn around the house.
Yep. And I did the same thing to my sons too, Gail. And you know what? One of them is living on his own, has his own family, has his own vehicle. But had he stayed in my home, I may have had a tendency to baby him. But because I knew that, I took him shopping, I helped him understand, the basics of budgeting and cooking, and his dad also helped him with cooking and things of that nature. And he took care of his little sister. I knew he understood what it was to be responsible. So for me to allow him to stay in my home would not have been the best choice, because he would never grow past where he was. He just wouldn't. He wouldn't be the him that he needed to be. Correct. And that is so important. Oftentimes people don't realize that when a person is comfortable, you don't really grow. You don't grow.
Maybe.
Because isn't that what the eagles do? The eagles do not let them babies stay up in the nest. They put thorns and stuff, and like, oh no, you got to go. Get out. You got to go. And they don't make it comfortable for you to hang out there. I think Terry and I was walking out. You know how I read a scripture or read the Bible verses of the day or something. So I'm reading, and it was about Genesis and Noah's Ark, and Noah, the water came down and the boat is floating and stuff. And then so the rain stopped. That was like 5 months after the rain stopped. And then the boat was up on the mountain. They couldn't get out because the water was still up. But as the water began to recede, once the water got down, he said, okay, y'all got to get out the boat. It's time to go. The boat was for a season.
Nice. Yeah.
Not a camp out.
You go.
It was just there for that particular time to rescue y'all. Now, okay, the water's gone. It's time to get out. Everybody out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's so true.
I'm just saying, that the other thing is when people have an opportunity to grow through experience, because experience is what you get when you don't get what you want. If they have to return, they're usually a lot more grateful and focused.
Right. I agree. Yep, exactly. Because they know what it's like to be on their own.
Exactly. And maybe they need to come back for some pointers on how to do it right when they go back out on their own.
Yep. Exactly.
Oh, let me regroup, reset. Okay, let's try this again.
Yes, exactly. Because now you know what it's like to have your own, right? Oh my gosh,
Yes.
there's nothing like it.
Or not to have the support.
Right. Yeah.
And let me see if I can segue for just a bit, because I know we're still talking about not competing, but competing with yourself. So, Terry, I'm going to go here. You have been competing with everybody else's furniture in your house for how long?
I don't think I've been competing. I've been storing and putting up with.
But she's always had this, I want my house to be a certain way. And the stuff, when we looked and we were looking at stuff, does not look like anything she had in the house. I'm like, oh, but
this is not her.
But we do that, not, maybe it's a sort of competing with somebody else because, okay, this is my lot in life. I got to help these people do this. And then they bring whatever stuff that they bring. And now your house don't look like your house.
Yeah. Yeah.
When now it's like, I want my house to look like my house. What are my standards?
What do I enjoy? What do you know?
Exactly.
What I'm saying? I think now the quote is. Let me go back up here.
Okay, you got it.
Stop competing with others and start competing with yourself.
Right. So you may have seen someone else that said, you know what, instead of you paying storage, come on, bring your stuff over here. It's going to be okay. What will other people think if they find out? So it does kind of go along that vein that, it's acceptable for me to do this.
Yes.
If I were to do something different, I would be this mean, bad person.
Yes. TJ said that her brother-in-law put his oldest daughter out. She had a baby and she was homeless, but she said years later it was the best thing that happened to her because you will grow up. You'll learn how to land on your feet. She's now married and an author. Wow. Okay.
And did you see the last statement as well, Fran?
She was a teenager and I only found out recently that this happens. And TJ said, I was angry with Bill, but she said that it was the best for her.
Right. She was angry with her brother-in-law when she found out.
She was angry that he did that to her. And most of us probably would have been, but he, we don't know what she was saying.
And that's what I said earlier. When you put them out, Gail, Terry, when you put them out, the people around you are like, why are you putting that child out? She's not ready. Give her another 2 weeks. You remember that conversation?
Right.
And someone
I've done that.
in a blue print dress today said, now.
The 2 weeks is now.
12 months and 2 more weeks? No. Now is the appointed time because you did not take the opportunity to prep over all that time.
Yep.
You got comfortable. So we need to create urgency. As you put it in the book.
Yep.
That's what I'm talking
about. It's gonna help someone else avoid the pitfalls that she went through.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. That's so true, Gail. One of the things I've learned is to pay attention to your inner self, not the outer voices. And that's so much what this is about. And it is so, and the thing is that we don't see our inner thoughts, but they are there. We see others' outer accomplishments, right? So because that's so visible, it's right there, it's in your face, we often forget, one, how far we've come and how to appreciate who we truly are and what is truly valuable in our lives. A lot of times that handbag, that house, the church you go to is not really valuable. What's more valuable is who you are as a person. Who do you help out of the kindness of your heart? Are you a good friend? Are you a good wife? Are you a good husband? Are you a good child? Are you a good mother? Those are the things that are very valuable. Like Fran said earlier, you know, we come here and we share with you, and maybe there's one thing that someone says to you will transition you to go along a different path had you not come here. So that is our purpose, is to realize that our own competition is truly ourselves. And people say that and they wonder, like, how can you say that? Even if you say or believe that, no, competing with others makes me my best me. But it still goes back to your thoughts. It still goes back to the fact that for some reason you believing that you going after something because someone else has, there's something about you. Like it all, like, was it the point in the fingers and you see the more fingers are pointing back to you? It is so true. So when people say certain things, you have to really, well, I like to take it from the standpoint of, but you know, that's really just you, right? That's just, you're just telling on yourself, basically. That's why I love social media, because I'll read the comments and I'll look, and it's not for me competing with them. It's really because I like to kind of get an inside view of what they're thinking. Like it tells me a lot about them.
And Gail says the only one you should be better than is the person you were yesterday.
Yep, that was one of the quotes I saw too. Yep, I love that one.
Yeah, that was, and it still is. If you, we did this thing for the young entrepreneurs not too long ago, and we told them, wear your own label. Like, wear your label. Go out and make your shirt with your name on it.
Yeah.
Gail, like we said, there's nothing new under the sun. And that's what, you know, there's another thing. Let's say, for instance, if you come up with this great quote or this great idea and you put it out there, you put your name on it, and then you find out that someone else had that same thought. What do we say? Oh man, I thought that was mine. Well, it was yours. In that moment, it was yours until you found out differently. But oftentimes what we'll do is we'll try to find out, well, did someone else say it? Did someone else believe the things that I believed? Probably, but that's okay.
And it is.
It's okay.
Now, Francis, you had said something the other day about it's what you believe you are not. I think this is that.
Yeah, it's.
You remember how that went?
The problem is not what you think
you are.
It's what you think you are not. That's the problem.
What you believe you are not. Yes.
Yeah,
and that goes with this really good. Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people are, well, I'm not Beyonce, so.
And see, that's that competing thing, right?
And comparing. Yep.
And so the Bible talks about comparing ourselves with one another. We can't do that because you're not the other person. Your DNA is not even the same.
Yep. And it's so easy to do that because of the external factors. Like Gail said in a couple one above, is one of the things I've learned is to pay attention to your inner self. And it's so important. And that's one of the things that I promote is your self-awareness, being aware of who you are and understanding yourself. You only can understand yourself. Think about it. You only truly understand you. You know, a lot of times we'll say, well, I don't understand why a person can do X, Y, and Z. And I look at people and say, why not? That's not you. Or people like, I can't believe someone did that. Why not? That's them. Even some of the horrific things that people say, I can't believe so-and-so did this. But you don't know their circumstances, the conditions that they were in.
Nope.
And for you to judge or say, you know, the shock and awe. Yes, it's unfortunate. Yes, it's a horrible incident that happened. Yet you don't know everything surrounding them. You don't know the inner workings of their mind. You don't know the condition they were in, the environment, the people around them, the things that they were subjected to, the tools, the weapons that they had available to them, and how they used it for evil instead of good, you know? So when people say that, like recently, a friend of mine, we have a private chat, and one of the things she said was like, I can't believe this person did X, Y, and Z. And I'm thinking like, and that sounds so, what is the best word to use? So put offish or so, oh, well, kind of blasé, but that's not why. I think of it because there's no shock factor for me, unfortunately. Like there's nothing that really shocks me.
And that's a good thing.
We got some shockaroonies, but it's okay.
It shouldn't shock you because people have their own thought processes. And you're right. However they think, that's why they do what they do. And we keep talking about, okay, the Michael Vick is a good example. He thought what he was doing was cool. The rest of the world didn't quite think that, but where he grew up, it was a cool thing to do.
Right.
And we only know what we know. We're the sum of our experiences.
Yes.
And the sums of the culture out of which we come.
Yes. Yes.
It was acceptable in his culture. And he's transplanted to another culture. And suddenly, I guess it's sort of when you think about some of these science fiction stories, okay, and Francie's always talking about the Twilight Zone. So you wake up in the Twilight Zone and suddenly the culture you came out of does not apply, but nobody told you.
That it doesn't,
that's
right?
Why you need to have people on your team that can help you transition, or if you're making moves to a different level, or you need to have somebody that can coach you about what's happening on this level. Oh, this is not how you talk to a king or a queen. You bow, you curtsy, you do this, you do that.
Don't touch the queen, Michelle.
But the queen was cool with it. But you don't fight dogs. That's a faux pas. You don't fight dogs.
Yeah, the values. Right. And that may be the reason why I think that way too, Cherry, because I worked in retail and retail management. And some of the things I saw, you know, I was like, whatever. You know, like there's no shock at all. And it's kind of unfortunate because with my husband's position, he'll tell me some things and he'll be like, I can't believe da-da-da-da. And I just look at him like, that's people for you. Like I'm like, and he's looking at me like, I can't believe you're not shocked by this. And it's not to say that it's not a bad thing, or if someone does something great, it's not that it was, you know, not a great thing, but like there's no shock there. Like he gets, it's funny because I'll watch like the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills or something like that just to see how they live. He's like, I can't do that. Or I'll watch the like Millionaire, where they sell $1 million homes in New York and Beverly Hills. I'm just looking because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is wonderful. I love seeing that there are people out there that can, you know, build buildings, and each unit in the building is like $2-3 million, and the penthouse is $10 million. And I'm just looking like, wow, there are people out there that really have a certain amount of income. And it inspires me to, not necessarily for me to go after it, because I don't know if that's just not me. You know, like we said, I'm competing with me, and I don't see that as being something that I want to do. I want to have a roof over my head. I want to be able to travel to beautiful places that have what? Sunshine, warmth, a beach that I can walk on, sand.
And it's just cool. It's just cool to know that somebody can pay something like that, so that if I ever had a product that costs that much, there's somebody who's willing to pay for it.
Exactly. And once again,
knows how to market it, right?
And then the culture is there too. So I get to see how people interact, how they dress, how they speak, how they don't dress like I think they should dress, how they don't look like I thought they should look, so I find that interesting. So sociology, psychology are things that I truly love. And if you look at my playlist on my television, you would definitely see that it's true.
It is a window into different cultures, but we're not necessarily there to compete with that.
Right.
But just
what you're saying.
You're doing a thing. Oh, let me see what's in this window. Wow. You know how you go to a museum or you go someplace and you're looking at all the pieces and stuff like, oh, wow, I love history. So I'm looking at stuff, how they did it and why they did it. And, we have something called Sutter's Fort here. And I remember going there as a kid, and I'm fascinated by all the stuff that's in there. Other kids wanted to do.
Just walk by, right?
I'm like, oh, I didn't know they did all that.
Well, if you ever come to DC,
were doing what they were doing.
Oh, sorry.
And it's great to see other cultures and how they behave.
Well, if you ever come to DC and you don't have anybody to go to the museums with you, I would go with you because I could spend weeks in the museum. The one that fascinated me the most was the, I don't know if they call it Indian or Native American. I can't remember. But regardless, when I went in there, I was so fascinated by how many different tribes there were.
Yes.
When I went to the African American Museum, I was just fascinated by the history and reading all the plaques. And, I see so many other people like just walking through. I'm like, well, and I was like, Mary, you enjoy this. So pay attention to what you do. Because once again, what did I do? I took the focus of what interests me and looked at them and wondered why it didn't interest them. I don't have time. Once again,
break down their why. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So that's a good point. When you don't focus on what you love and what you enjoy, you can lose track and become someone different. And that's what I think a lot of us do, or I would think that probably 90% of the population, especially here in the United States, once we get out of school, whether that's high school, college, if you drop out, we are always doing the things that we think that we are required to do to survive. And what I mean by survive, have a home and have food. And it's not until we have those things that we can truly come to a point where we say, this is not me.
I guess you do have to have something to know it's not you.
Right. And that's what how people say, like, why did you do that if you knew that wasn't truly you? Well, I did that. And because I did that, I realized that was truly me. For instance, when I traveled the very first time, it was on a cruise ship and it was a family reunion. And my mom had just left to go to another country in Africa. I had just lost my job, but I said, I'm going to go on this trip.
Okay.
I had unemployment, plus they gave a stipend as well. So I had money and I could have looked at it and said, well, now, wow. Because at the time I was living in my mom's home, but she said she would still pay the rent, but I didn't feel comfortable. So I said, no, Ma, I'll pay the mortgage, not rent. Sorry. I'll pay the mortgage. I'll pay the bills because I'm living in your home with my sons. You're not living here anymore. And it worked out for us. Mm-hmm. But what I wanted to say is, had I not taken the initiative as a 20-year-old single mother of two to say, I'm going on this cruise ship, I may never have understood what travel really means to me. Like, I really would not have said that every year I want to take my son somewhere. I may not be able to take them on cruises. I may not be able to travel far, but we're getting out of the DMV. We're getting out of DC, Maryland, and Virginia, meaning that Northern Virginia, DC, this part of Maryland, right? And now they are actually looking forward to traveling. We would go to like Six Flags in New Jersey. We would go to Williamsburg, Virginia, just something to get them out of this area. So once again, my mom didn't do that. And I could have sat back and said, well, my mom didn't do it, so I'm not going to do it. Instead, I said, no, I've traveled. I know what it did for me to have that freedom, to see how people did things differently, and just get out of your neighborhood.
Getting a different perspective. And when you're talking about looking at those $1 million penthouses, what came to my mind is getting above the fray.
Yes.
To get a different view.
Yes.
Does it?
Yeah,
exactly.
The view from up there is a lot different, all down up in here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying up there like they're better than or anything.
Right.
I'm just sometimes you need to climb up a little higher.
I don't know.
And see a different viewpoint.
Exactly. My brother used to say, you know what, Terry? It's lonely as heck at the top, but it's crowded as heck at the bottom. You know, it's hard to see.
Exactly. That's so true. Ooh, that would be I bet someone has that illustration. That's a good illustration, actually. Had I been a creative, I would definitely have drawn that out. That may be something I look at just to see if it exists. That's a good point. And you said something earlier, Fran, about the eagle. And I don't know how I came across it. It might have been on YouTube, but it showed, I guess they had somehow put a camera on an eagle's head and it gave an eagle view.
Ooh.
And it was the coolest thing. So I'm sure if you Google it and then say video of camera on eagle or something. And I just sat there watching like, wow. Like you couldn't differentiate anything. But then if you think about an eagle, their eye is so focused. Yep. So once again, going back to why we want to compete with ourselves, because it is so focused that it's able to see through the trees what a mouse or whatever their prey is. So it's able to see it at a height and then a distance as well, right? So if you think of that from that perspective in terms of yourself, you're so high and have such a great understanding of yourself that you can see things as you want them to be. Why? Because you are truly the creator of what you want to be.
Yep.
Good or bad, your thoughts will create who you are. Good or bad. And when I say good or bad, there's really no good or bad for others. It's only good or bad for you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You know. And it's your choice. It has always been your choice. Now, because see, the eagle could hang out with the chickens and the ducks and stuff, but he don't.
Nope.
He doesn't hang out with the rest of the birds. And they all, he's like,
they missing out, right?
Yes. And it's not like he's above or better, but he knows him or her. They're not doing the chicken stuff, scratching on the ground, looking for
stuff. I love it.
It's so true, right? Chicken stuff.
No, I'm not doing chicken stuff. I am not a chicken.
Trying to be a chicken honk over there.
Yes, so true. And like I said, the reason why we don't want to compete with others is because a lot of times we don't know how they became who they are. One of the books, I don't know if I'll remember. I may have to Google it. I can't even think of the author's name. I see his face. I know what the book's about. So I'll just think is it Millionaire Next Door? No, it's not that one. It's the one, it's written by a Black African-American male. And it talks about the history of men and women who are African-American Black people that are millionaire. Like they have that type of money. And I loved it because it didn't just talk about who they were and all the accolades. It talked about why they are who they are. And those are the types of books that I love to read. Why? Because it inspires me. 2, because it shows me a different perspective. It shows me a different culture. It shows me that no matter what you want to be, you can be. And that's one of the things that a lot of times when the story, like when they spoke to him about their story, they all said that they saw themselves doing better. Like they competed with themselves. They didn't necessarily look over their shoulder and say, oh my gosh, my bank has to be like this bank. No, my bank is for a certain person. The person's going to do this, and that. So they were like a marketer. So they knew how they wanted their bank to resonate with someone, or they knew how their clothing line would resonate with something, or how their cleaning business would resonate with something, or how their McDonald's franchise would resonate with someone. So I love that because it gave you an idea as to what it truly takes. And a lot of times it has nothing to do with your education. It has nothing to do with, what is the other one that people a lot of times say? Oh, education. Oh, like the people that you live around and your upbringing, basically. No, it's who you were around once you decided that this is what I'm going to do. And if those weren't the right people, you knew how to get around the right circles. You know, you knew you wanted to be better. So in order to be better, you knew you had to maybe go to this networking event. You knew you had to maybe go to this neighborhood. Why? Because it put you in that mindset of this is where I'm going to be. And in order to be there, I have to be like the eagle and get away from all these chickens. I have to. Like, in order to be who I want to be, I need to be around people that travel. I need to follow people and look to people that are speakers. I need to see, well, how do the Girl Scouts of America do it? And it's not in terms of competition. It's to say, sometimes it's a matter of what's missing, because my culture is different from maybe the people that Girl Scouts of America go to. You know, some people may think, oh my gosh, that's only for these people, but I can take it and spin it towards the people that I believe would benefit.
Well, as a trainer, we call that researching best practices.
I love that.
You know what I'm saying? You're looking to see what worked, what part of that worked that you can now take and apply to whatever it is you're doing.
Yes, I love that. Yes. And there's someone I follow, and she is really into different things. And when I say different things, like she believes in getting education and certificates in whatever piques her interest, right? And what she realized is there's nobody that's really telling coaches that look like who we see here on the screen how to be coaches for people that look like who we see on the screen. And she came up and she went out and she got her certificate in coaching, and she saw, like, she's the type of person that understands instruction. She understands leadership, and she has degrees in these particular fields or certifications, right? And she went in and really assessed what was missing in those particular curricula, is it called? I don't know, whatever. And said, okay, I know how I now want to teach people that look like me how to coach people that look like me. Because what works for them is obviously not working for us. Because I've been to the different coaching programs and I realize that, like, what they say, I look at them and say, this is not going to work for other people.
Because you understand the culture of the people that you live in. You understand what I mean? There are some things that are going to cross cultures, and it'll cross everybody's cultures. There is some stuff that need to be interpreted. Like, okay, I understand this language. Now I need to take that language and bring it back over here to help you all understand this is what is meant by that.
Yeah.
It doesn't always
line up, right? Yeah.
Different
apples
kingdoms,
and apples.
different rules.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And I really appreciated her for doing that, because I knew she understood how to create a program, and I knew she wanted to help people that were in the coaching industry, but she just didn't know how. So she went out and she has now a mentor that is able to now help her to develop a program that is maybe a higher price program. And I just love seeing people doing that. They recognize that I want to do this, but how everyone else is doing it is just not going to work for the people I know. And before she even did that, she had for maybe like a year she really had a Facebook group that was thriving. She was really engaged. They were engaged. And what she drew from that is, oh my gosh, people aren't able to distinguish the uniqueness of a specific culture because they're not a part of that culture. Exactly. And for her to then say that I'm going to go out and do this, I was like, this is such a beautiful thing. And just to see it develop in front of my own eyes, it's inspiring. So no, I'm not competing with her, but I'm inspired by her. And what we said before is, you know, when you have a different perspective, you can see differently.
Yep. I love it. I love the fact that she can, the person that is mentoring her necessarily couldn't reach the audience she was going to reach.
Exactly.
They couldn't do it. So she needed to go in and be able to reach that audience.
Well, I like the fact she realized she wasn't talking to everybody.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
You know what you tell me all the time, Francie? You're not talking to everybody, Terry. You're talking to people who need X, Y, and Z. Oh, not everybody who has skin. Not everybody.
Right. She really got it down. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, she niched that thing.
Yeah. And sometimes niche is good. And when you are doing your original, sometimes your niche, maybe you're not going to be big and all over the map. Maybe your people is right here.
Right there in your backyard.
Service them, that small group, very well.
Mm-hmm. And there was something I love. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, there was something I saw here, and it talked about Seth Godin. And one of the things he talks about is the art of something. And it looks like my phone is not going to show me right now, but it was really interesting. It talked about, I think it's called the art of your core. And if anyone knows, if I'm right, cool. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but you can look it up. It's something to do with Seth Godin and the art of something. But basically, it was like your unique value. And it's so important to realize what your unique value is. And sometimes people want to say, what? I don't know what it is. I'm nobody special. You know, somebody is already doing what I'm doing. Don't get so caught up in that. How can you not get so caught up in that? Is realize that you are here in this time, in this moment, in this particular city that you're in for a reason. I think so many times we dismiss our true capabilities and our true reason for being because once again, we're looking across the street. Mm-hmm. We're thinking, oh my gosh, I don't have this and I don't have that. Instead of thinking, no, I'm here for a reason. And getting in your quiet time. I speak about that often, being able to be quiet and sit still and just assess what you truly want. And then to create it for yourself. First, visualize it in your mind, write it down, see it, be it, feel it, and spend time in that space of creation that will bring about what you truly want. Because right now I am creating the visualization that I'm going to be on a cruise or an island somewhere in December-March, meaning that anytime between that time, I'm going to be somewhere. I don't know where yet. I don't know how yet. But guess what? I'm looking at travel vlogs. I'm following people that talk about different places that I want to go. I'm looking at places that are similar to where I would want to go. I'm just letting my mind explore the possibility. Visualization is so important, in my opinion. I mean, and it's funny, once I once I started doing this, like on Instagram, I'm now seeing people talking about vision parties. And I'm like, I love it how it comes to pass, right? Yep. I'm talking about visions and visualizations. And one of the things I realized last night when I was really doing it is when I went on Instagram, it seemed like I saw all these posts about travel and all the places I want to go. Was not talking about skiing. They weren't talking about going places that I have no interest in. They were all very picturesque It looked sunny.
Warm.
It looked warm. There was water in the background where it looked like if I were to get in the water, I would be able to see myself. No brown goo, no brown.
Clear, beautiful.
Clear, blue, crystal, water.
Yes.
Clean.
And that was on Explore on Instagram. It wasn't like it was my own page. I just said Explore, and these things came up. And I was just like, this is so beautiful. And yes, it very well may be out. I know it's algorithms, but I'm going to take it as it is showing me that what I want is going to come to pass.
Yes.
And the algorithms were just created there because they knew what I wanted.
Exactly what you needed to see. And that's what the algorithms do. The more things that you are saying you like this and you like that, it'll start sending you stuff that fits that picture. See, the algorithm see the picture too. It just does it with O's and all of the code they use, but they're finding
exactly what I needed. And it was one particular quote when I was looking at, that's what it was. I don't even have to look. Michael Jackson's song, The Man in the Mirror. You know, if you really listen to the lyrics of that particular song, it talks about, I'm the man in the mirror. Like, it's me. I'm the one that has to make the change. And in order to make the change, I have to recognize myself. You know, we are our worst critics. But how can we turn being our worst critics into being our best allies, right? To being our best competition, to being the best me, basically. You know, what is it? I think Gail said you are your only competition, just be better than the person you were yesterday.
I like it.
You know, that is the main thing. And, you know, when you find yourself comparing, stop and ask yourself, well, why am I comparing? Is this really leading me to who I truly want to be? So if you see the person's car and you say, wow, I really like their car. Okay, but are you willing to do the things that are required to get you that car? You know, not what they did, but are you willing to look, you know, go to the car dealership website and say, okay, how much is that car? How much is the monthly payment? How can I go about bringing that to my life? You know, instead of thinking or asking a person, well, what did you do? What they did go help you?
Not a thing. Because there's a lot of people who want a big mansion and all of that. And I'm like, but I want to hire the people that's got to clean that, because I'm not cleaning it. I'm not cutting no rolling grass and hills and all. I'm not doing that. I'm not bringing people into I don't want to manage that many people. I don't want to do all of that. Give me a penthouse in New York upstairs with the doorman. I'm all good.
See, I love it. And you've created your own vision. Exactly. You know what you want and you've seen somebody, you were like, okay, I've seen the mansion and that didn't really resonate you. You saw a penthouse, you're like, now that I can get with. You can get with this or you can get with that.
It's all up to what you want to do. And that's why that's good, because when you compete with somebody else and they all got a mansion, what do you look like having a yacht? You can't swim.
And how many people, a lot of people do that. And here's the other thing, you don't know jack about what it takes to maintain that.
Right.
You don't know how to
there you go.
You got to have a whole crew and staff to keep the thing up and
get the barnacles taken off. I mean, you don't know what a barnacle is. You know, just do stuff.
That's because that's what the millionaires have, is a yacht. Oh, I got to have a yacht.
Well, you know what?
Then you don't even have a slip. Don't know what a slip, like Terry said, don't know what a barnacle is. Don't know what a slip is.
Okay. What's really interesting to me is lately, because I have a friend who does bridal things, these destination weddings. When you have a destination wedding, what you're really saying to me, if I'm not immediate family, is you don't want me to come. You don't really care if I come. Come if you want, don't come if you want, because it ain't going to be around the corner in the neighborhood.
And then oftentimes, like I have a friend that just got engaged and she's older and, you know, she's an only child and it's just her mother, her daughter. And she has a lot of close friends and she knows we all like to travel. So we were like, are you going on a destination for your wedding?
No, y'all wanted to go on one.
Because
it wasn't
basically, you're saying you would combine your vacation or whatever it is you have set aside for that purpose. But when you decide you're going to have a destination wedding in, I don't know, some island somewhere, and you're inviting all your friends who don't travel and don't have a budget.
Now, I would go for that if I'm the one writing the check. I got all y'all on your travel.
Saying?
Right. And that's one of the questions she had. She's like, well, do I pay for everybody? I was like, no, you do not pay for everybody. But then someone that has it, I see it two ways, Terry. I see it in terms of your close friends. And what do they say? You invite somebody to your wedding who you'd be willing to pay $50 or $75 for their meal. I think that's something that people say. Okay. Right. And so in that case, okay, it's local. But if you don't really have that core group of people that
have it like that,
right, then I think it's unfair. But then, hey, it's your wedding, so do what you do.
So then you expect it to be intimate.
Right.
I don't have a problem with whatever you choose, but don't make other people feel like they have to stop paying their mortgage, miss a car payment, to come to your wedding. And oh, by the way, on your way, pick up a present.
Right. Yeah.
I just think that if you're not competing with the visualizations that we see on social media and stuff, you're going to be good. Stop trying to be the other people that
competing.
Stop competing with the others and be yourself. Compete with yourself.
And it's funny because one of the people, when I went to one local church, I knew the young lady ever since she was probably like 11 or 12. So when she recently got engaged, and I followed her off and on through years. And when she got engaged, I was like, oh, yeah, I can see her having one of those. I don't know if you all have heard, and I'm not even sure how to pronounce it. I think it's Mulnulak brides or something. I don't know. They talk about African-American brides or Black brides, and they really are extravagant weddings.
Oh.
And I said, oh, yeah, she's definitely going to be that. Next thing I know, she's on that site. She's like doing the hashtag when they have events locally. She's there. I was like, yeah, like, so sometimes you can see the person doing that. Had she not been the person that I've known her to be, and she just totally went that way, I was like, I wonder why she's doing that. You know, I would have thought that she is doing what everybody else is doing. But if you look over her social media for the last few years, you know that she extra. And it's okay to be extra. I love extra sometimes.
You are extra. That's a nice way to put it.
But if that's who you are, then you are.
And exactly.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. And there you go. Exactly. I was not, like when I said it, like when I saw she got engaged, I was not surprised by anything she did. Like her bridal shower, I was like, oh my goodness. Yes, I thought that was her wedding. Like for real. Her dress, her table laid out. I was like,
I have a friend like this. So that's just how they are.
Yes.
They're extra. I love it. That's a very nice way. And it's okay. Yeah. Extra. But as long as that's you
see what I mean? Yep.
Don't try and be extra when you're not, because it doesn't look good.
Or
it's so awkward.
We have to rein ourselves in and remember not to try to compete. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I think as long as we take control of who we are and allow everybody to be just who they are, that's okay.
There we go. Exactly.
Now I gotta have because so keeping up with the Joneses is a part of competing with
absolutely
the Joneses and the James and the Smiths, but they broke and you don't know it.
Yes, and not to put that in terms of them being broke, but I remember, Fran, you said something about somebody having a mansion. My husband wants a really big home, and it's just he and I. And yes, we get the grandkids sometimes, but he was like, yeah, they can each have their own bedroom. I'm thinking like, who gonna clean the bedroom? Who gonna furnish the bedroom? Who gonna decorate the bedroom? But all he's thinking about is all the rooms.
And walk down them halls and dust the furniture and keep all that up. I'm not. See, there's a responsibility that could everything that we do. The bigger the house, the bigger the responsibility. I'm walking around here in this 2-bedroom, 2-bath house. I'm cool because I can keep it under control. Thank you, TJ.
Thanks, Terry.
I keep all this under control. I don't want to. I'm not saying that I can't hire staff to come and do all of that. Mm-hmm. I just don't want to.
Yep, exactly. I have other things that, for me, I would want to do other things with that mortgage money. Mm-hmm. I would put money aside to travel more often.
Yep.
You know, and that's the thing that I try to get people to understand is like, okay, yes, you want that car, but why? Like, if your car is running perfectly, yes, it's 12 years older than the year we're in right now. Okay, like, why do you feel that this is what your next level is? So oftentimes when you really ask people those questions, oftentimes their reason for doing so is very on the surface. It's not like a real deep thought was given. Because like we said, when you get a new car, what you have that new car payment, that new car insurance. Yeah. And then what else? When you're driving, you're looking at everybody else like, don't hit my car. When you're in a parking lot, you may not park where you normally park. You may park askew just because you don't want nobody. I don't have time for that.
Nope.
Yes, that's very true.
It's right. It rings true.
Yeah. You know, and why your why for doing everything, it goes back to that. You don't have to compete if you're doing your own why, if you're sticking to your why.
Exactly. So stop competing with others, start competing with yourself and see how much further you will go. And when I say further you will go, I mean mostly in your thinking, the way you see things, the way you create things, the way you show up for people, the way you show up for others. Mm-hmm. You know, it's so important to realize what is truly valuable. The bag, the car, the vacations, I'll use that, is not truly valuable in the big scheme of things if it doesn't truly make you happy.
True. So true.
It does not give you a peace of mind. If it does not bring you true joy, if it's not bringing you love, it's not worth it. So yes, do what makes you smile. And instead of being your own worst critic, use that information that, you know, you're critical about yourself to be better.
Yep.
You know, be better. That's it.
That's it.
Oh, yay. See, there you go, Donna.
I love
and
it.
Reading that statement made me smile.
Yep. And then she said, Donna says travel makes her smile too.
Yeah.
So
yes.
I want to thank everybody for watching and listening, and be a replay or podcast. Thank you again for coming in. This was a great conversation.
It was.
Helping us stop competing with others and start competing with yourself. So share this with somebody and take something from the conversation and put it into. All right, we'll be back tomorrow talking tech, social media. Bye-bye, everybody.
See y'all tomorrow.